What's up, good people? You got Lavelle here, aka Vell, and welcome back to my channel where we bond over our favorite TV shows, trending topics, and everything in between. Well, in this video, we will be bonding over the Salt-N-Pepa Biopic that aired on Lifetime. Now, this was the official biopic for these legends with a career spanning for over 35 years. Now, in full transparency, in the beginning, although I wanted to definitely see the biopic, I wasn't really that excited about it. I just was interested. But as we started to get closer, I started to get more excited because I started really thinking about their catalog and their history and kind of what I remember about them growing up. Now, what I will say is, to me, the casting overall was a miss. I didn't feel like the people they were casting even looked similar to some of the people that they were trying to portray. Like Martin Lawrence, the guy was like thick, and Martin Lawrence ain't never been thick. Well, he's getting thicker now in his older age, but Martin Lawrence was like real thin back in the day, and so this guy was like thicker, and I don't know, he tried to intimidate his voice a little bit, but it was a miss overall for me. The Kid and Play characters, it was kind of the same. Besides Kid having the high top fade, it was just a miss. And then the main character, Salt-N-Pepa, I felt like the woman who played Peppa actually looked more like Spinderella to me than Peppa. So, but I got used to her like throughout. She was definitely a good actress. I think she did a good job in the role, but it made it very hard for me in the very beginning to try to remember who was supposed to be who. And I definitely don't think that should be happening in the movie. And basically their height and wig colors was the only difference in the beginning that helped me to distinguish the two. And I don't think we should have to struggle to figure out who's who with the characters in a biopic. And I wasn't the only one who had an issue with it. People on Twitter were going in. Somebody tweeted that whoever did the casting for the New Edition miniseries should have also did the casting for this movie. And I totally agree. And this might sound like a crazy question because I did not look it up at all, but did their manager Herbie actually have a twin brother? Like, was that a real part of the story? Did they just add that in? And I'm like, was that guy who played Herbie an actual twin? Or was that CGI or something? I was really kind of lost about the point of the twin brother part of it. And I don't feel like he had a major role. But you guys helped me out with that because I didn't look into that at all. And it really just added to my confusion with the cast. Like, who's Herbie? Who's the brother? Which is which? Now, for me, it was bonkers to find out all these legends work together. You had Salt-N-Pepa, you had Kid and Play, and Martin Lawrence all work together at the Sears call center. That was crazy to have that many talented dreamers and go-getters all working together in the same time frame. And they all became mega celebrities in their own right, not even through riding the coattails of each other. They like all individually did their own hustle and really made history in their own right. There was definitely no-hit wonders out of any of them. And how about that fake Salt-N-Pepa scene? That was crazy. And I was thinking to myself, there's like no way that could happen in these times, because many people have like thousands of pictures on their social media pages, and a lot of people who are trying to get their public influencer careers off the ground, and so they're usually promoting themselves on their social media. So generally their followers and fans are definitely going to know what they look like. And even in the case of your imposter, it's easy to get on your own social media and connect with your audience to let them know, hey, that's not me, that's somebody, you know, trying to act like me and holding concert dates. That was absolutely crazy. But it was back in the 80s. Like, you could pull off stuff like that. And there's a scheme for everything. And I didn't realize until the end in the after show that the gangster dude who had the fake group and had Herbie jumped on is actually Mario Van Peebles' son. And Salt-N-Pepa had their daughters playing them as the fake Salt-N-Pepa. So that was cool that they all cast their own children in the movie in that scene and playing them, you know, the fake Salt-N-Pepa on top of that. Well, playing a fake version of them. That was really cool. Now, I know that all those rap groups back in the day, they got their careers started and they got their hit songs from like in people's apartments and homes recording, but it was really surreal for me to watch the scene with Salt-N-Pepa recording one of their biggest songs back then, Push It, in a bathroom. Like the thought of that humble beginning of being in a bathroom recording a song, and then it becomes a legendary song that like almost 40 years later, we could still bump in our cars. That is just absolutely amazing. And I think that's a testament for the saying, never despise humble beginnings, because I don't think you can get any more humble than recording a song in your bathroom. But it's a testament to where you start out has nothing to do with how far you can go, because over 35 years later, we are still listening to that song and it's still bumping, and I'm sure still making them royalties. And the scene with Pep losing her hair due to overprocessing, that was just like another life lesson nugget that I found in the movie. What in the moment seemed like a tragedy that she had to try to figure out, and they had a photo shoot coming up, turned into an idea for a culture setting trending hairstyle, which I remember the girls wearing even in the 90s when I was in high school. And I think I've seen it start to come back. All from seemingly a traumatic moment in Pep's life becomes a trend for our culture. Now, also what I love was at certain points through the movie, there were people getting in the ear of both Salt and Peppa and giving them like little nuggets and hipping them to game when it came to the business before they understood the game themselves. Those were all blessings in disguise, because it got them to the point of learning how to own their brand, to own their catalog. And that's a huge thing in the business, like to own yourself. We hear Tyler Perry talk about it all the time. And it's so important because we've seen the other side of like TLC and other groups like that who were mega stars in their time and known worldwide, and then broke because they didn't understand the business and they didn't own themselves. So I was really happy to see that they actually did get over that rough patch before it completely bankrupted them. Now, the other part of the story that was interesting was that both Salt and Peppa were in abusive relationships, either emotionally or physically, throughout their careers. But somebody did point out on Twitter and said, so Stretch is the one who asked for the divorce and not Peppa, who was the person who was being abused. But that happens. Sometimes it takes people a long time to get out of abusive relationships. So in her case, it ended up being protection and not rejection that maybe got her out of that situation before it got worse. And Salt being with Herbie Love all of those years, and he was cheating on her left and right and really capitalizing off of her. She or they were definitely his meal ticket. And I don't know how correct Google is, but when I searched his net worth, it said he's worth $500,000. So that's nowhere near what you think someone who's been a part of the Salt-N-Pepa empire should be worth. You would think he'd be worth way more than that. But due to that lawsuit he lost, he probably shot himself in the foot for much more money and maybe other royalties or whatever that he probably would have been receiving that would have had him in millionaire status. And so I'm not sure how true that is, because when I looked at his bio, he has produced so many major artists that I would have just assumed that he would have at least, you know, a couple $1 million. And sometimes people are just bad with money no matter how much they make. So you guys let me know below, what do you think? And Herbie Love was definitely not a fan of Peppa. From the very beginning, he thought that she was dispensable. I don't know how well that would have worked. Like, even in the very beginning when they first started as a group, I don't know. I think they got branded, and their energy together, the yin and yang of their group, I think just was magic from the very beginning. So I'm not sure if he really could have got away with switching her out as they did with Spinderella. I'm not sure he could have got away with that with Salt-N-Pepa even in the very beginning. And definitely not after they hit it big. That wasn't gonna happen. But you can definitely tell from the movie, and I think many of us knew prior to the movie, that Peppa is a piece of work. She's a lot. She's a ball of energy. She's a free spirit. She's a little kooky at the same time. So I could definitely see her being a lot of work. And I can also see why at a certain point her and Salt fell out, because they're like polar opposites, and Salt is more of a everyday kind of woman, and Peppa is probably the epitome of a artsy, out there kind of artist, basically like a wild child. And I wonder today, where is their relationship really? Because I did watch the after show with Lonnie Love, and was I the only one that felt like Salt-N-Pepa were not close friends like they were when they were growing up, like best friends, ride or die? And I say that because I saw some clues in the interview that I wasn't really looking for, but were fairly obvious to me. They're like, oh, wait a minute, they're not as close. They haven't like mended in that way. Like their relationship hasn't gone back to what it was. And I say that because Peppa had made a comment that she had not been dating for like 2 years. And Salt was like, oh, wow. Like she didn't know. And I'm like, if that's your friend, and even if you're friends like on a basic level, that seems like something you would know. Like you would talk about your relationships and things of that nature, and Salt is now single as well and has gone through her divorce that took 4 years. So I felt like, okay, wait a minute, you guys don't really talk, obviously. And then the other thing for me was Lonnie's question about something to the effect of like, what have you learned from each other? And Salt said that Peppa had been telling her for years that she had to learn how to separate her emotions from business. And she said that it finally clicked for her and she's now become really good with separating her emotions from business. And I was like, was that subtle shade? I mean, it's true. Definitely, business takes a level of removing your emotions out to really persevere and make things happen. So I totally agree with the philosophy. However, it was kind of like, so are you saying that you've taken your emotions out of this group and you're not invested emotionally, you're just invested for business purposes? And then was it, I don't know, slight shade of like, I'm not emotionally invested in, you know, Peppa, this is business. I don't know, and I could be reading too much into it, but the fact that we know that they had a falling out, and we know that I think they didn't talk for 4 years or something like that, but we know that they got back together. But did they really only get back together for financial reasons? And then also Peppa, although, and I don't know, I read between the lines with things, I watch body language and all of that, but when Lonnie Love asked Peppa what she would like to say to Salt, she just said, I love you. And then Salt said, that goes without saying. But I don't know, it just felt like, I mean, it's very basic in that kind of situation to say, I love you. It's almost like I don't have nothing else for you. I do love you at our core. And I think they love each other because they know for a fact that neither one of them would be the legends that they are without each other. They needed each other to get to that. And that's why when they separated, neither one of them were really able to have completely separate careers from the salt and pepper monster or empire that they built. And sometimes that's just the way that it goes. And I think they've both just at this point submitted to that reality and it's like, let's get our money. And as far as the movie overall, for me, it seemed a little out of sync at points, and the sequence of events were just a little off. It was kind of hard to follow at points like, oh, wait, where we are? Okay, what happened? She had a baby, now where we at? Like, it was like a lot, like it felt rushed. And someone said that maybe, although it was 3 hours, so you had people that were complaining that it was 3 hours, but I did see some people saying that maybe it should have been like a little mini series like the New Edition story, because you're taking a 35-year-old story of two women, really three, but I'll get to that in a minute. But you got a story of a legendary group that spanned 35 years. And you're like condensing that into 3 hours. And I felt like in them doing that, they really had to rush parts of the story and leave out some of the pieces that maybe would have helped connect things and help it thread and flow together a little bit better. Because I really found myself a lot like, okay, what happened? Who? What? Where? Where are we at now? Like, oh, that album came out then? Or did it come out before that? Like, what's happening? And then one of the major things that was missing for me, as well as many others, was the fact of what was going on with Spinderella, the whole fallout. Now, they had her in there in the beginning and at certain parts, but they really, besides referencing her when she was brought into the group, they really didn't touch on her. They didn't go into her life story at all. And there has been some litigation because Spinderella sued them. And so it's being rumored that maybe there were some gag orders of some sort. And the fact that in the lawsuit, they definitely could not use her name or likeness in anything related to Salt and Pepper. So I see why some of that was happening with the movie. But the truth is, probably if they threw her a couple dollars for this movie, she would have allowed that. And it does really feel like a significant piece of the puzzle and their history is being left out because Spinderella has been with them almost since the beginning. I think pretty much if it's 35-year career, maybe 34 of those years or 33 of those years she's been around. And that just kind of feels odd to leave that piece of the puzzle out. And Spinderella obviously has a problem with it as well because she actually posted a letter about it on Instagram. And I'm going to read her message to you. Spinderella says, "Too often black women who have made meaningful contributions in their industry are left out of historical narratives. Back when Salt and Pepper was building our legacy, which is rooted in empowering women, I could not have dreamed that the same group would one day disempower me." Wow. Words cannot fully express my disappointment when I learned a decision was made to move forward with the Lifetime biopic that wrongfully excluded me from every aspect of development and production, all while using my image throughout, given that I played an integral role in the group's story and success. There's nothing more unacceptable than a woman being silenced by another woman. It is for this reason I will not be supporting the biopic. I do, however, want to offer a huge congratulations to the talented actresses that played us, including Monique Paul, who I wish I would have been given an opportunity to share my true perspective with. In reflection, I am grateful I've managed to uphold a 30-year career of truly empowering women with my gift against all odds. This will continue in my work and in my service. The great news is I'm in the final stages of writing my memoir, a personal journey navigating through life, relationships, and the industry that raised me. 30 plus years is a lot of content and I'm ready to share it. So we know that, obviously Spinderella was closed out of the situation and prevented from participating. I'm sure it had a lot to do with the lawsuit. For those of you who aren't familiar with the lawsuit, Spinderella sued the group saying that they owed her for royalties and some of their other work. So Peppa actually went on The Real a while ago and she explained the nuances of what was going on with it. And so what she was saying was Spinderella was not actually a part of the group Salt-N-Pepa. It was almost like she was an employee of the group. So she said that Spinderella is actually not in their contract at all with their record deals or anything like that. She got paid on the side of that. And she said in the inception of the group, she wasn't around and she was brought in by Herbie. And so she had a separate deal with Herbie. And that's basically how it stayed the entire time. Salt-N-Pepa have always had their own contract, and then Spinderella had her own deal on the side with whoever they were working with. She said at one point with one of their last projects, they actually took money out of their deal and gave Spinderella like $1.2 million of their money because she was not a part of that deal. But Spinderella feels entitled as well to royalties from some of the projects, and I think some of the concert dates they did as well. She was promised payment and she never received payment for it. So it's about money and respect when it's all said and done. And Spinderella said on top of all of the money that she feels like she's owed, basically I think when she started to put up a bit more of a fuss about it, then she was actually terminated. And so that was the icing on the cake. It's unfortunate that she was basically left out of a major moment in the legacy of Salt-N-Pepa, which she was a part of. But I'm happy to hear that she has her own book coming out where she gets to tell her story. I will definitely pick it up and most likely listen to it on Audible and support her because I'm definitely interested in hearing her side of the story as well. Now on a side note, Lifetime seems to be coming with that smoke, although they could have did better with this movie. I definitely agree with most people with that. However, their upcoming winter schedule of biopics and documentaries is something to look forward to. We have the Wendy Williams biopic and movie coming up on January 30th, and they started to give longer previews, and they had me salivating. I tell you, I can't wait. Now, this is something I've been excited about for over a month now, and I am just really looking forward to this Wendy Williams biopic and documentary. I cannot wait. I will be there with my popcorn, my tea, my wine. I'm definitely excited about that. I don't want nobody bothering me. Don't call me. Don't text me. Do not disturb the level of concentration I'm going to have watching that movie and that documentary. And then they have the Whitney and Bobby Crist Didn't We Almost Have It All documentary. I'm probably going to watch it, to be honest, but I've definitely watched a ton of documentaries about them. I watched the reality show that Bobby Crist had and all of that. And I don't know if I'm just really fatigued now with that tragic story, so I think I'm gonna watch it, but I do feel like emotionally, like, do we really need to keep covering this? But who knows, we'll see. So our phrase for this video that I want you to comment below to let me know that you've made it to this point is never despise humble beginnings. Yes, comment that below to let me know you've made it this far. And I think, as I said before, the story of the legacy of Salt-N-Pepa is a prime example of not despising humble beginnings, because they went from recording in a basement and creating hit songs in a bathroom to becoming a legendary group with a Hollywood Walk of Fame star, various accolades and Lifetime Achievement Awards and Grammys and MTV Awards, and you name it. And now still able to tour off of their 30-plus-year-old music catalog. So long story short, a legacy can be created through your humble beginnings. So with that, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe below and click that notification bell so that you'll be aware of when I post new videos, and for consistent notifications of when I upload new videos, please consider joining our text community, and it's also a way to direct message me and us to be able to communicate back and forth. So with that, until next time, until I upload the next video, which will soon be my Wendy Williams experience recap of the movie, and until that happens, make sure to take care and be blessed. Peace.